Yeah, so I'm going to get a 17-inch screen. It'll make it a lot easier.
Okay, what happened to Tony? Now we lost Tony? Because we want to start. Why they're asking for password battle? Because we don't have any password.
I don't know.
Right, it's just the ID.
Yeah, you just use the ID. I can put it in the chat for you if you'd like.
We are live.
Okay, very good.
Hold on.
Okay, Janine, you're
Hello,
set.
everyone. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Women's Council of Realtors, Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Community Connection Part 2. And we're spotlighting today our wonderful Ruby and Topaz strategic partners. I'm Janine Gershon, and I'm Secretary of the Women's Council of Realtors, LA-Beverly Hills. We have an information-filled presentation for you today, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce today's speakers. Today we have Marina Clark of Statewide Escrow, our Ruby strategic partner, and we also have our Topaz strategic partners, Nancy Madwin of Allstate, Rachel Brannon of C2 Financial Corporation, Jennifer Kirkendall of Corner Escrow, Allison Fass of Glen Oaks Escrow, Mindy Reagan of My NHD, Erwin Arbolente of Termagon Exterminators, and Ren Dudukian of the MLS. Hopefully I said that properly, Ren.
Yes.
That's a tough one. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us. Now we have some fun and hopefully interesting information. Marina, I'm going to start with you. I asked all of our participants for one fun fact about themselves, and Marina's fun fact is that she's the owner, CEO of Statewide Escrow. She's been in the real estate business for 19 plus years, and she started her career as a real estate agent. She's recovering from being extremely superstitious. However, she still makes her entire family sit down for 15 to 20 seconds before they leave their house to go on vacation or a long trip. Marina says she doesn't know a Russian who doesn't do that because 15 to 20 seconds of silence before the road is supposed to guarantee easy travel. Marina, can you talk a little about what the difficulties are that you are encountering and that you find realtors are encountering during this COVID-19 pandemic? And also, can you share your insights about how you are resolving issues that are rising during this crisis and how you are helping realtors during this difficult time? I'm going to be asking everyone basically the same question. Marina?
Okay. All right. Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Janine, for the introduction. And yes, I don't know any Russians who are not superstitious. So Russians are very, very superstitious. All right, so as Janine said, introduce me. My name is Marina Clark. I'm the owner of Statewide Escrow, and I have been in business for about 20 years. I started as a real estate agent, and then I progressed to be real estate broker with about 70 agents under my license. And then in 2018, I made a decision to focus more on business, on escrow business. And from that point on, my entire business is just escrow, okay? So as far as COVID-19 goes, I mean, obviously, we all experiencing all kind of changes in the way we operate our business, in the way we deal with our clients. And what I personally see is that we getting a lot of more stressful situations and transactions where either sellers or buyers or agents or escrow officers or title guys or anyone else involved being under stress. Have you guys noticed that? Yeah, it's a little bit more than usual. So my job as escrow owner is to make sure that we take care of you guys, you agents and your clients very well. So my escrow officers, first of all, I hire people that are kind, caring, experienced, and they love what they do. So we don't have angry birds here. This is what I have to say. All right, and we create a healthy and happy environment for everybody in our office so they can take care of you guys well. and close your transactions timely and with less stress. All right. So
Thank you,
that's
Marina.
that's my job. That's my job. And another thing, what we do actually, and what we are becoming a little bit more popular with, is our lunch and learn classes. Okay, so we don't teach only how to do escrow, how to act during escrow, but we invite different speakers. We invite real estate lawyers, we invite business coaches, we invite therapists, we invite behavior modification coaches, we invite marketers to present and share their knowledge and their experience with you guys. If you've never been part of our lunch and learn classes, I encourage you to sign up. Join us, get to know us, and we'll be happy to work with you, meet with you, and you know, help you with anything we can. You can find actually the schedule of classes on our website, statewide-escrow.com. All right.
Thank you, Marina.
Well, thank you very much.
That was a lot of information. Now I have a question for you. What would you recommend new agents, in other words, new licensees, do to survive and profit this year?
All right, for new licensees, so here's the thing. So for new agents, you guys, if there are any new agents out there, right now, to generate business, we cannot do traditional things such as open house or door knocking, right? But I have to say that this is actually a good thing. I remember when I started in real estate, I was door knocking like every single day. Crazy. Maybe I got one listing out of it. But, you know, the good thing about it is that I was in shape, walking up and down the hill in my neighborhood. But for you guys, you can't do it right now because of COVID, right? And don't. Because I believe personally, after being in business for 20 years, I believe it's a tremendous waste of time. It's better for you to explore digital marketing, social media marketing, okay? So again, join our classes. We're gonna have marketers presenting like all kind of tools and techniques to use, and pick up something new, learn something new. Don't listen to us old folks. Don't do door knocking, and don't concentrate on door knocking and open house way of business generation. So this is what I say.
Thanks again, Marina. That was really a lot to say, and I appreciate it. Next, we're going to speak with Nancy Madwin of Allstate. Hi, Nancy. Are you there, Nancy?
Yes, sorry about that.
So I'm going to start with a fun fact about you. You say you know more about football than most people, and your dream job would have been to be a college football coach. Now that's really different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Can you please tell us that? Really, it's really quite interesting to hear. And what made you change your mind?
Well, it's not really. It's not a field that's really open to women so much. But it was just it's my passion, and it's fun, and I absolutely adore football. But I actually went through a massive career change in February of this year, just in time for COVID. So you know, I feel like I'm breaking through new barriers all the time. And so anyway, but well, go ahead.
What was the career change?
So I was in a corporate sales environment for 30 plus years of my career. And in January, I felt like I really wanted to change. I wanted something where I could actually impact people's lives. I got very tired of just corporate rigmarole. And I met up with Robert Feldman, who is our agency owner at our Allstate agencies. And we talked a lot about how I could enter into his environment. It required me to get my insurance licenses, which was, new. I hadn't been into school for a while. So, but it was terrific. And it was the right time for me to do it, at least I thought. And then of course the whole world changed. So all the plans that he and I made on how I could enter into the business were kind of turned upside down about, right about the time I got my license. But I think we've been doing some really proactive, interesting things since then.
Well, can you tell us a little about that, about the difficulties
Sure.
you're encountering in your business and how
Sure.
you're overcoming them and how you're helping realtors to overcome them?
Absolutely. Our main focus in our business is realtors, at least when you dig deeper. Our business relies very heavily on realtors. Whenever you make a sale, customers need homeowners insurance, and that's getting more and more difficult in certain areas these days. And so we feel like we are a resource now for our realtors who are partners of ours. When they list a home or when they're working with buyers and they know they're in an area where the fire is an issue, brush, things like that, and they know they're going to have trouble finding homeowners insurance, they come to us. And we were uniquely positioned with several carriers that are not accessible to most brokers that write in these areas. And so we've created almost a concierge type of an environment for our realtors. Whenever you list something, come to us. We'll fire score it. We'll let you know what you're looking at from a perspective of homeowners insurance for that particular property. And that way you can be very honest and upfront with your buyers or with your seller of what the challenges might be for buyers in that market. And it's really been very, very helpful. It kind of is eye-opening. And at least if as a realtor, you create the expectation up front, this is what homeowners insurance is going to look like. Then when you go to make an offer or what have you, that doesn't surprise you on the back end. The other thing we're finding is from a close of escrow perspective, if people wait until the last minute to try to get homeowners insurance, which does happen a lot, and then they find difficulties, it can actually impact your closing escrow. And that's something that obviously is very, very difficult. You don't get paid unless you close the escrow. You don't get paid for just getting close. So that's one of the areas where we feel that we can be of a lot of assistance to realtors in the industry. So, by putting myself in place, and we have another outside, we call ourselves outside salespeople, our real responsibility is to start developing relationships with realtors particularly those who sell in those high risk areas, so that we can close the gap and make it a lot easier for you guys to close escrow.
Well, Nancy, the question I have for you, you pretty much answered. I was going to say, how will the current state of the wildfires affect homeowners insurance? And how can we help minimize any issues that the fires will create for closing escrow? So do you have anything to add to what you've already said?
Actually, I do. Recently, and this was just my experience, 2 weeks ago, I had 3 or 4 homes ready to close in escrow up in Carmel. And the day before these escrows closed, there was a moratorium put on insurance in Carmel because of the wildfires. And so we were able to scramble and come up with, we had contingency plans in place for these people, and actually 3 of the 4 were able to close. So it wasn't pretty, but we were able to make it happen, and everybody came out and feeling really good about it. And 2 of the 4 actually were realtors that came to us and said, help, here's what we've got going on. And we worked with them, and we allowed everything to get through escrow and close, and that their clients are happy with them, they're happy with us. It made it a really good scenario for everybody.
Well, that's a really great story, and you certainly helped. If you closed 3 out of 4 escrows, that's really amazing.
It was not, like I said, it was not pretty, but we got it done.
Yeah, well, it's phenomenal. Thank you,
you.
Nancy. Appreciate your being
No,
here
thank
with
you.
us. Okay, our next speaker is Rachel Brannon of C2 Financial Corporation. Hi, Rachel, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start with a fun fact about you. Your fun fact is a little bit on the lengthier side. You feel you owe your success to your dogs. During your earlier days working in real estate finance prior to the introduction of the internet, you used to meet your clients at your Woodland Hills office. And since you often spent 10 to 12 hours at the office daily, you usually brought your dog to the office with you. Your clients fell in love with the dog. In fact, most that didn't have dogs went out and got pets of their own. You've had so much fun over the years sharing stories about your animals, and the dog connected you to your clients in such a way that you became very close, and most of them kept in touch with you for more than 15 years. One year, you even had a birthday party for all the dogs at a client's house, and all the dogs got toys and their own cupcakes. Apparently, it was a blast and the most hilarious moment you can recall during your years in finance. Now, Rachel, can you please talk a little about the issues you are encountering during COVID-19 and how you are helping realtors at this difficult time? Rachel? Rachel? Rachel is joining us by phone, and I think there's a glitch with that. So let's come back to Rachel. Okay, next up is Jennifer Kirkendall of Corner Escrow. So Jennifer, it's really nice to have you with us today. I'm going to share a fun fact about you first. And you have two dogs that are 10 years old that are your quote unquote fur babies, which I have two dogs myself, and I know what a joy they are in my life. So I can absolutely relate to that. Jennifer, can you give us some insight as to how you're resolving issues in your field during this difficult COVID-19 time and how you're helping realtors to do so also?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely been, a challenging time, but you just have to adapt and roll with the punches and see what the next day, has in store for you. So I think that more on the processing side, I would say that things have been a little bit more challenging with whole COVID, as far as like insurance, city reports, payoff with lenders, things like that, more on the processing side than anything. But, it's just staying on top of it, being diligent about it, and just being very, adamant about getting that escrow closed so everybody, is happy and everybody can move on, and, the buyers can be in their new house. And yeah, so it's just, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. I've been in escrow for about 6.5 years. So this is definitely one of the interesting parts of my journey of being on an escrow officer side. But yeah, things are going good. It's just, dealing with the challenges day to day and just getting through them, and, on to the next, pretty much.
Well, you use the word interesting a lot, and that's very appropriate. I can't think of anything else that hits the nail on the head more than interesting.
Absolutely. With, as far as the masks and the being concerned about, distancing, and the notaries, from the time that COVID first started to even now, those have been, interesting, for every situation, making sure everybody feels comfortable, but, with the signing and everything. But it is definitely, an interesting time. Yes.
So I've got a question for you.
Sure.
What do you love about being an escrow officer?
Sure. So what I love about being an escrow officer is I really just love, definitely helping people. I love seeing people from the beginning to the end, whether it be, a refinance, a $200,000 refinance to a $5 million purchase, just walking people through the whole process, one step at a time. And the other thing that I really love also about being an escrow officer is getting out there and actually coming face to face, you know, with parties and with the seller and going out to grant deed signings, and so that they see your face, they know who they're talking to on the other line, you know, they know that this person has been helping, you know, me through the steps. So I just love that communication, the connection that you build, you know, with these people, and they remember your name, you know, whether it be a lender or, you know, broker, whoever it may be. But people remember you, you know, for your great customer service. And that's one thing that I definitely pride myself on. And I love being an escrow officer. I love helping people, and I love, you know, being in the community, and I love that we're doing this, and, you know, we're able to see each other and, you know, connect that way. So, yes, so I love being an escrow officer for many reasons.
Well, it's clear that you're very passionate and enthusiastic about your work, which is good because we spend most of our waking hours at work, don't we?
Exactly. I always call it my second home.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jennifer. Appreciate your being here.
So much for having me.
Next up, we have Allison Fass of Glen Oaks Escrow. Hi, Allison. Thank you for joining us. I have an interesting fun fact to share about you. You're an attorney and practiced family law before you changed careers and got into escrow. Can you tell us a little about that and how you're using that experience to solve the problems that are coming up for escrow professionals? And how that's helping to solve the problems that are coming up for realtors too?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Janine. So yeah, I am a recovering attorney, still recovering. It's been over 3 years, but it's still something that I'm trying to get through. But yeah, I actually think that escrow is really similar to like practicing law, just attention to detail, customer service, being there for your clients all the time. So a lot of contracts. So it really, you know, transitions well and has been a pretty smooth transition into the escrow industry.
It's an interesting transition. You don't hear that very often from attorney to escrow officer. It's really quite interesting how you've adapted.
Yeah, well, I'm actually an escrow rep, so not an escrow officer. So that's even more interesting. Yeah, for sure. But I've been able to use a lot of the skills that I learned as an attorney and apply it to my job now. So it's been an awesome ride so far.
Well, it's all really interesting. It's a remarkable change.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. How can realtors prepare for a smooth escrow during this time?
Yeah, so, you know, there's a couple things. So first off, you know, one of our biggest concerns that we've been seeing, you know, is just protecting our clients and our employees from being exposed to COVID and to just keep our business running smoothly. So one thing that has changed is we have, starting in March when everything shut down, we closed our offices. So we only have our employees going in. And that has just, you know, been to limit in-person contact and keep everyone safe and healthy. But with that said, we use DocuSign and an electronic software program to process our escrows. So that means that buyers and sellers can log on to our online portal remotely, and they don't have to come into our office. So that's really nice. And then for realtors, it's awesome because they can log on to the portal. If they have any questions about their escrow, they can track it, see what stage they're in, get updates on their escrow, and then see what documents their clients have filled out and what still needs to be filled out. And then our escrow officers, myself included, you know, we're always available to help, you know, walk buyers and sellers through their escrow documents and, you know, just prepare for as smooth of an escrow over the phone. I even, you know, do calls on weekends for people that are working during the week. So also another concern, I think someone mentioned it, Jennifer, before, was notaries. So we've had a lot of buyers and sellers that have been super nervous to have notaries go out. But as you all know, on both sides of the transaction, we have to have notaries to be able to close escrow. So we've required all of our notaries to show up with masks, gloves, alcohol wipes. We, encourage social distancing, sitting outside for the signing. And we used to give pens to all of our signers, but we've been saying they should use their own pens just to be safe. So we haven't had any issues so far, and it seems like people are getting more used to it, so they're not as nervous. And then last thing, one more tip for realtors, it's actually been such a crazy couple months. The market's been on fire. So with COVID, and because of that, more than ever, it's really important for realtors to, once they get a new listing, to reach out to their escrow officer to open pre-escrow. So ordering city reports, NHD, HOA docs, and opening the prelim. It kind of just, ensures that we have as smooth of an escrow as possible, with potential delays coming up because of COVID. So yeah, that's what I would say. Those are my top 3 things.
Well, thank you. COVID is definitely changing the way we do our business, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. We're all adapting.
We're all adapting, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Janine.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, next, I'd like to introduce Mindy Reagan. Mindy's a close friend of mine and takes huge pride in her work. So in regard to a fun fact about Mindy, Mindy majored in commercial art and advertising. So when she was 18 years old, she opened an art gallery frame shop with her parents in Maryland. They then opened 2 more locations in DC and Virginia. So for 20 years, she was an art dealer. Mindy, that must have been an interesting transition for you from the art world into the world of real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What are the problems that you're going through during this pandemic, and how are you helping realtors to solve their own problems?
Well, fortunately, with natural hazard disclosures, it's really easy because although I'm used to seeing all of you live and in person and giving presentations every day, sponsoring classes, teaching, and I sure do miss that live, we have a website, we have a fabulous customer support, and so people can order their reports when they get their listing. They call us, email us, go online and take care of it. So I don't have to have that one-on-one contact, even though I do miss it. Thank God I've built relationships over the last 15 years that have been really solid, and people are very loyal, and I stay connected with a lot of different platforms that I'm on. And so it's really important to me to be of service, since ours is part of the transaction in real estate, but certainly not one of the integral parts like escrow and title where you're really seriously involved. It's important because it's mandatory on all transactions, nothing's exempt, and it's not regulated, but it's really easy. And we work very closely with escrow because they can order it on behalf of the client. A lot of times they don't. There are some companies that don't allow escrow to order it, or even the transaction coordinator. And so we take care of that for them, and we protect everybody in the transaction. So it's really, especially now, terribly important to be aware of what hazardous zones you're in. And Nancy, it was Nancy, right? At Allstate? I met Robert earlier this year at Compass in Hollywood, and he gave a phenomenal presentation and said some stuff that scared the shit out of me. And it's because I come from East Coast. We didn't have natural hazards, and I mean, a report that was mandatory. There's hazards everywhere. And look at what's going on now with the fires. Mm-hmm. So when people are calling me and saying, hey, what zone am I in? I'm at the intersection of Sepulveda and Wilshire or whatever. A, I don't just off the top of my head know. And B, this is why it's clearly important to get this NHD report when you get your listing, because that way you can not only show it to whoever wants to make an offer, you do your homework, you make sure it can be insured. And if it's for a really high amount, like Robert said, there was something for about $120,000 in Malibu that fell out of escrow because the buyer had no clue they'd be spending that kind of money a month or a year, right? So the next buyer coming in, wasn't it great that Robert could do it for only like $40,000? which was still crazy money, but not if you want to live in Malibu in these gorgeous environments. So I get calls a lot, you know, what does it mean to be in a flood zone, a fire zone? Is it bad?
Well,
Everyone
actually,
has a comfort zone, you know?
right. You actually led me into the question that I have for you, which is on the technical side, you actually covered quite a bit of territory just by what you've already said, but how do natural hazards affect a real estate transaction, and how can realtors protect themselves and their clients?
California created this law that the seller must give this report, the NHD report, within 7 days of the accepted offer to the buyer, because the buyer then has 3 days to either move forward or pull out of the transaction because of material fact. And that's why flood, fire, earthquake, liquefaction, landslide, there are 6 items on a mandatory statutory form from CAR. And so when you work with a company like MyNHD, who is in partnership with CAR, we've been endorsed and approved by them for 10 years, top slot on that zip form. That's how you stay protected. You get it really when you get your listing, the NHD report. Don't wait till escrow opens. You can, but you don't have to. And then the buyer's agent should write it in their contract who they want on that RPA, on the zip forms from CAR, because then you can negotiate what you want. And if you don't write in who you want as a buyer's agent on your contract, unfortunately, you have no voice to represent your buyer. And what happens is you accept whatever the listing agent wants to give you. And so to protect yourself in this crazy world we're in, before COVID, California was ready. 43% of all the lawsuits a year ago in real estate came from California. So the best way to protect yourself is to be upfront, disclose, and use a reputable company that protects everybody. And by the way, we have no lawsuits or any issues with our reports for 26 years.
Wow.
Everybody's safe and protected.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of really good information. And
Thank
I'll
you for
think
having
twice
me,
when I have a
ladies.
buyer.
Janine,
Pardon?
Sherry, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being with us. I
I
appreciate
love
it.
Women's Council and I love being part of this network. So thank you.
And you're a vital part. So let's see. Our next speaker is Erwin Arbolente of Termagon Exterminators. And Erwin is operations manager of Termagon.
Hi, everyone.
Erwin has a fun fact that I like to share. And he remembers from 30 years back when he was assigned to the Middle East for a project that his company contracted with Presidency of Civil Aviation in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. He remembers something. Since his childhood days, he's been really fond of tinkering with aircraft toys like planes and cars, etc. And later in life, he became fortunate to have been chosen to be one among the few staff that work for the airports, that particular project. His company project was installation and maintenance of communication facilities in all airports in the Middle East. That's quite an undertaking, Erwin. And he worked as logistics supervisor, and most of the time he visited some of the airport facilities, including the Tower Control Center. I know you enjoyed working there so much since you got to watch the planes ascending and descending and to walk and drive around the area. You had great access. With all that being said, you said you're proud to have had the chance to work in that environment. And wow, that must have been really super exciting, Erwin.
It is. In fact, I still have it to recall it at every time.
So, you know, that is really something to remember.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question related to COVID-19. Can you tell us a little about what the problems are that you're encountering in your industry that are directly due to the COVID-19 pandemic? And how are you helping realtors to solve their problems?
Yeah, at this time that we all had a hard time for this pandemic, what we're thinking about to help realtors, including escrows, you know, for the paperwork and everything like that. We're planning to every time to advise you guys, especially realtors, to whenever you have to open listings like that, ahead of time, you can request us for inspection already so that you should know what is the problem or what's inside or outside the property that needs to be corrected. ahead of time. No charge for that if you order it ahead of time. So by the time you reach the time that you put it in the market, you will be ready what is to be taken up and what needs to be corrected for that report. And that's really clear for everyone, and to just to aware rush situation like, oh, I'm going to close the escrow this week, this coming week, and we don't have a report yet. For the time table of processing papers, like for you, and then for the escrows, we're running out of time. Then that's a big hassle for your proceeds. So much better if we can do it earlier. No waste of time. Whenever you open the for escrow already, then we're ready. If the owners wanted it to correct it first, those needs to be corrected. They can fix it ahead of time. Then we can do the report after. It's more cleaner.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way of handling it.
This advantage for a buyer or a seller. Otherwise, that's okay for everyone. And that's what we have to discuss.
Can I ask real quick? Can I ask real quick request? Can all of you put your contact information in the chat box, please?
Myself?
Yeah, everyone after, if everyone could put their contact, because I definitely want to call you for a termite inspection on my new listing. So we have Mindy. So if everyone, if you can put your contact information in the chat box, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I'll do that.
So Erwin, I have a question that's a little out of the box because you were very thorough about what you just said about the COVID-19 and how that's affecting you and realtors. But how do you improve your relationship with real estate agents and clients at this particular time of the pandemic?
Here's what I thought about it. Some new, especially the new realtors who just got into the industry, I normally do this, visiting some real estate offices if they have the new realtors who are not really familiar reading the reports. Okay, I always do to meet face-to-face or set a meeting, join the meeting, and describe how to read the report compared to if you have a second opinion or anything like that. I used to do that. Now for this pandemic time that we have a hard time, for sure, even your side, you have a hard time connecting to the homeowners, setting up available times, doing this, inspection time, so as to minimize, any hassles for any particular time for each and every one. So what I mean is, it's really very much helpful that I thought if, like what some realtors doing right now, they really put it all in one schedule. Of course, maybe some of you guys are doing that and assigning up the waivers for, before entering the properties is, it's hard too. And I just did one this morning, and it's just like a party, but you cannot get in all of there. So in any way to make it easier, what we did, I will let home inspector first to get in while I'm doing the outside. Then when he's done, I'm gonna do inside and I'm gonna do outside to make it easier. Then after that, buyers to communicate with the sellers, it's easier for them to get through and to get a process done.
Well, that's really insightful, and I respect the way you're trying to accommodate for this. Thank you for joining us today also, Erwin.
Well, in behalf of Tarnika and Janine, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today also, Erwin.
Well, if you have a question, just call us. Any concerns you have, you can call us anytime. We're ready for you.
Thank you very much. Okay, last but not least, we have Ren Dedukian. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly.
No, that was perfect.
Okay. All right, that was challenging. And Ren shared this fun fact about herself with us. She collects vintage hat molds. So Ren, what is a vintage hat mold?
So it's a wooden mold, and hats are actually all either steamed or formed onto these molds, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're rare finds. Most of them are 100+ years old. There's some people who still make those, artists, in my opinion, who still make them. So yeah, I find them very beautiful and full of history, and I like to collect them and sometimes use them.
Yeah, that's really different. I've never heard of a vintage hat mold. So very interesting. Now, Ren, can you please share with us some of the issues that the MLS has encountered due to COVID-19, and can you tell us what problems you were hearing about that realtors are coming up against during this really difficult time?
Sure, yes, absolutely. So I'm sure everyone here will agree that this has been a year of great change for our industry and the world at large. And like the rest of the presenters and like the rest of all the companies in our industry, the MLS has had to adapt quickly to these unusual circumstances. And we have been able to not only keep our products in place, but also roll out new technologies and processes to make our members work easier in this new virtual world we're all living in. So we're all working remotely at the moment. And we've rolled out the following changes. So within a few short days of the stay-at-home order, we disabled the creation of open houses and instead implemented virtual showings via a video URL, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. We heavily stress the fact that there are no open houses, only virtual showings or by appointment only. We do offer virtual office trainings, webinars, tutorials, online events such as the MLS Virtual Madness, which we had last month. It's a fun online training circuit, and we plan to, it was a great success, and we plan to do it again very shortly. We've also made some changes to the statuses. Some are still in place, some have reverted back. So first, the hold status. We've extended the hold status from 10 days to 30 days in Vesta Plus, and agents can opt to use the hold status for up to 2 times. However, it cannot exceed the duration of the listing agreement. This change is still in effect. It went into effect March 15th. For coming soon status, in March, we updated the rules for coming soon to allow agents to use the status for the entire duration of the listing contract. However, as of July 1st, we have reverted to the original rule of 21 days. In terms of days on market, so due to federal, state, and local orders, we suspended counting days on market effective March 15th. On July 1st, the DOM freeze was lifted as the stay-at-home orders began to ease. In the meantime, we've also had clear cooperation policy rollout. So this actually went into effect March 1st, pre-COVID. And it's the NAR clear cooperation policy, which requires a listing agent to place a listing in the MLS within 1 day of public marketing, 1 business day of public marketing. So the fines assessment, we pushed it back to August 1st. Initially, it was supposed to be much sooner, but we pushed it back to August 1st. So it is now in effect. And just as FYI, when we say public marketing, that includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, brokerage website displays, email blasts, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks, and applications to the general public, such as social media. So clear cooperation policy is a big field, and I'm sure if anyone has questions about it, please feel free to email me. We have compliance classes on it. We have a lot of information and FAQs I'd be more than happy to share. But so far so good. Like I said, the fines assessment went into effect August 1st and seems to be going smoothly. So the top priority for us is the safety and success of our members. So we've been working, our product team has been working on developing new tools and new features within Vesta Plus to assist agents and brokers during this new period. So some of the things that were recently released are the neighborhood snapshot report, and we offer a 30-day free trial. This is a really beautiful, impressive report to share with clients that really captures the data of any given neighborhood. You could actually create your own neighborhoods by drawing shapes and selecting areas, or you could go by MLS data. It's a really great tool. I highly recommend to try it out. And then we have the Broker Caravan app, which launched earlier this year. But now more than ever, there's more value in it, as you know, again, this virtual world. So within the app, you could access virtual showings. We've added a news section, which covers industry news, market updates, product updates. So it's really informative and has a lot of rich information. And we have some really exciting things in the pipeline, such as reverse prospecting, updates to listing cards, and then a scheduling tool for virtual showings. So I'm sure if I went into each and every one of these, this would probably be a several-hour presentation, but we do have a lot of great webinars and a lot of videos on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to sign up for one or check out the YouTube channel to learn more about any of these products I mentioned.
Thank you, Ren. And the question I was going to ask you, I think you were very thorough and answered already also. I was going to ask what the MLS is doing to help realtors. And clearly they're doing quite a bit to help. There are a lot of important issues that have risen because of COVID-19 and during COVID-19.
Yes, absolutely. We need to be nimble, and we are a nimble company. I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but the MLS is not only an MLS, but we're also a real estate technology company. So Vesta Plus is an internally developed, wholly owned and operated real estate software. So we have developers on hand. We have a robust team working day and night to make sure that we deliver the products that are needed for tomorrow's world.
Well, clearly the MLS is really navigating through the storm quite skillfully, and thank you for being here with us and sharing all that really important information.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Ren.
Thank
Now,
you.
And Janine, we do have Rachel ready after this.
I was going to say I lied. You weren't the last, but not least. And Rachel is available, and Rachel is now going to speak. We've got Rachel Brannon of C2 Financial Corporation.
Hi there.
Rachel?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I apologize about that little glitch there. But just a few FYIs about me and the company that I work for. I'm currently with C2 Financial Corporation. I've been in the business for about 20 years. And with regard to C2's success, we were ranked the #1 mortgage broker in the nation last year, 2019. And we also closed $5.5 billion in loans last year. So we are very experienced in delivering on-time closings, and we do know the importance of establishing, successful realtor relationships. Really quickly, just to cover some aspects about COVID and the importance of keeping your stress level and your anxiety levels down as much as possible. What we try to do is make sure that your borrowers are prepared, and we deal with lenders that understand the need for speed and delivering on-time closings and quick service. So that's one of the things that we do prioritize. Also, we are only working with experienced appraisers, and notaries that understand the COVID safety process. So that was one thing that I wanted to point out. We, during the beginning of this process, it was very stressful for everyone, as I'm sure some of you probably came into some situations with the notaries and other things and delays. So we have overcome all those delays, and we're excited about that. And everything seems to be back on track, and we're very excited about, getting things done on time. One very important thing that I wanted to point out is we have something called appraisal waivers. Has anybody ever heard of that? Or do you know what those are?
No, I don't.
Okay, so just wanted to point that out because that has saved us a lot of time. An appraisal waiver is when your client is buying a home and there is an appraisal in the system on that property, and it comes up on our underwriting automated system that we run. You can actually avoid having an appraisal done. And as I'm sure you know, that saves a ton of time and also saves your client money. So just wanted to point that out. That is something that a couple of our premier lenders are doing and have implemented, and we're really trying to push that during this COVID crisis. One other really quick thing that we're doing, just as an FYI, is we have implemented our to be determined program. And that's where we encourage realtors to get their borrowers approved ahead of time. That is so important in avoiding challenges with your approvals. We can actually get them fully underwritten by an underwriter ahead of your borrowers finding a property. And really quick to point out, it's the overlays that people are not understanding with regard to finance. A lot of the lenders are in fear of, especially self-employed borrowers, having some challenges down the road with their employment, their income, etc. So they've implemented these overlays, and it can cause your deals to fall out of escrow. So just wanted to point that out really quickly. That is something that is working out very well, and it's actually allowing us to get a lot more deals in escrow and closing them successfully.
Thanks, Rachel. I think you also were very thorough. Everyone's a step ahead of me, and you really answered the question I was going to ask you, which is what are the 3 things that agents can do to ensure smooth closings? Do you have anything you want to add, even though you were extremely thorough?
Well, there's just a couple of things. Just to reiterate, a DU approval is super, super important. A lot of times, what'll happen is a lender, we all love what we do, and we're excited, and we want to get you a pre-approval, right? We want to get your business, we want to get you an escrow, but it's dangerous to accept, in my opinion, a pre-qual letter. I highly advise to go the extra step and ask your lender for a DU approval. That will really ensure your reputation is intact, you're not disappointed, and you're not falling out of escrow, because that approval is almost as good as an underwriter's approval. So I highly advise going for the DU automated approval. Don't open escrow without it. One other thing I would like to point out is ask your clients to be very forthcoming and honest about any challenges that they have or are experiencing right now. And the only reason I say that is, it's tough to pose that question to your borrowers because it's uncomfortable, because you don't want them to take that the wrong way. But there are so many reports that nobody's aware of that these lenders pull outside of the credit report. Okay, so there's all kinds of things that'll come up: old bankruptcies, old foreclosures, old short sales, divorce, child support, just any negative thing that they might have going on in their history that you won't find out until later, that might impact your debt ratio. So I just those are the 2 key things that I'd like to give you as a takeaway, just to try to prevent disappointment and loans falling out of escrow.
Well, those things are really useful to hear, and some of the things that you said I had no idea as a realtor, and I've been in the business for 20 years. So thank you very much, Rachel.
I have a question for Rachel.
Yes.
Rachel, what about the lawsuits? Because I know there was a tenant that had a lawsuit with the owner, and then he applied for a loan. Is there a way that you can find out that he was in a lawsuit?
Now that I don't think is going to cause you a problem, because he's a plaintiff in the transaction. He's not being sued. He's actually going after someone. Am I understanding that correctly?
What about if it's the other way around?
If it's the other way around, yes, that could cause you a problem. There is a report that is out there that if there are any pending evictions or orders to vacate of any kind, there is a report that may come up on. So yeah, I would be careful with that. And a lot of times, just let them know that we're not going to go and tell everybody their problems. What that does is that allows us to do additional research and kind of sift through to see in advance if, you know, if it comes up. Now, what I would like to point out too is another advantage in dealing with a mortgage broker over a bank is, for example, if we run into a problem where the lender discovers something and they turn the loan down, well, we can redirect the loan to another lender and address that problem up front, because a lot of times an underwriter will say, you know what, you didn't address it up front, I'm not comfortable with it, I've got to turn it down. But if once we know about the problem, we address it correctly, we find the right lender that suits that borrower's needs, rather than you just completely losing the loan, we can redirect to another lender, we can fix that problem, we can keep you in escrow, we can get the loan closed. And 99% of the time we are successful with doing that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I can attest to that. I've been working with Rachel for over 15 years, and that is true. That's a good thing about working with a mortgage broker. You have more options available to you. And I am a true believer of the DU. Every time I do a listing, I do not play. You always have to submit with their offer a DU. I do not accept just pre-quals or pre-approvals. I need to see that desktop underwriting approval, because that tells you everything they need to do in order to close escrow.
Oh, and one other quick thing, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you heard about the 0.5% rate increase. Everybody is jumping out of their chairs right now. We're not happy about it, but the Federal Housing Finance Agency is implementing a 0.5% rate increase to all types of transactions, as it's an adverse, what they're calling it is an adverse collection effort to offset the CARES Act. So what the lenders have done for us is they've given us a stay on it, a temporary stay. They're not going to implement it until November. So I encourage you that any clients that you have on the fence, tell them, please get off the fence, get in escrow quickly, because if they, let's say, for example, your debt ratio is very tight right now, you can only imagine what a 0.5% rate increase might do to that debt ratio. So just a heads up on that.
Right.
Yeah,
wow.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, I heard about this one.
That's really something that I didn't know anything about either.
Yeah.
Well, that's our last speaker. Go ahead.
Oh, one more thing, ladies, and I'm gonna let you go.
I'm telling you, Rachel is a wealth of information.
Yes, she is.
The care packages I have, ladies, I have tons of supplies that I ordered back when this whole thing happened. I kind of went into a panic mode, and I have masks, I have gloves, I have the little foot things, I have the hand sanitizer, lots of extra supplies. So if you want some for yourself or for your clients, I can get those out in the mail. And I actually developed or mixed together this oil. And I know that kind of sounds corny, but my hands were about to, they were just, I don't know, you know how washing your hands every 5 minutes, your hands are just disgusting. So I started using oil after every, hand washing. So I have an oil that I put together so you guys can have that. But anyway, just if you want it, please send. I need to get rid of some of this stuff, guys. So just send me your address or whatever, and I'll send you some packages if you like some.
Thank you, Rachel. That's very nice of you.
Thank you so much.
Your information.
Thank you, Rachel.
Rachel, put your information in the chat box.
I feel like my grandparents right now. I can't find the chat box.
I will type it in.
It's okay.
I don't see it on my phone, so I've been
playing. We'll take care of it.
Oh, it's on the phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Don't worry. We'll take care of it.
Okay. Thanks, ladies. Appreciate it.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. you know, all of us here on Women's Council of Realtors, LA-Beverly Hills Governing Board appreciate the time you've spent with us. And we appreciate all the fascinating and helpful information that our Ruby and Topaz strategic partners have shared with us today. So if you're interested in learning more about Women's Council of Realtors, LA-Beverly Hills, and possibly joining, please reach out to our Director of Membership, Neely Nathan. And Neely can be reached at neelynathan@yahoo.com. We'll put that in the chat box as well. And now for some words from our President, Sherry Seda, and our President-elect, Tawny English.
Hi, everybody. This is Sherry Seda, 2020 President, Women's Council of Realtors, LA-Beverly Hills. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for everybody being with us today, joining us. I really enjoyed every information that you guys provided for us. It was very, very, very nice. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I just want to introduce our governing board to you, that they already worked so hard to bring everything together for you guys. And I start with our President-elect, Tawny English. She's always there for us, supporting us. Then Janine, our secretary, that did a wonderful job moderating the Zoom meeting today. And then we have Bree, our treasurer. I don't know if you can see her or not, but she's
here.
Yeah,
I agree.
know, but I wanted to see her beautiful face, but
I know, and her smile, yeah.
And then we have Neely Nathan, our membership director, and also Michelle Wynn, our event director.
She was just here. She just dropped off.
She's just, and then we have Batel Cohen, our social media coordinator, and she's really working hard to get you guys out there everywhere. As I said before, you don't know, but you're everywhere. Your name, your company's name is promoted in all the social media platforms. So thank you, Beto, for doing that. And then I'm gonna ask Tawny to introduce again our strategic partners. But before Tawny, I would like to tell you the mission of Women's Council, who we are and what is our mission. We are a network of successful realtors, advancing women as professionals and leaders in business, the industry, and the community we serve. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Well, Tawny would like to thank all the strategic.
Oh, Tawny, right. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No problem. Thank you. And also, too, I just want to acknowledge we have our founding president on the line, Miss Bernadette. So thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you also.
And so before we can't, you know, our network cannot do all the things we do or put on our events without the help of our strategic partners. And so I'd like to thank first off our Diamond strategic partners, which is Altaman Sesnick, and which is Steve Soto. And we also have Jonathan Paris of Visual Open House. So he's great for doing these digital virtual open houses now that we need. We also have Marty Nash, who's our new CEO of the Greater Los Angeles Association of Realtors, which we are the 4th largest association in California, by the way. And our Topaz strategic partners are Lisa Feldman of Allstate. We have Allison Fast, who was here with us today from Glen Oaks Escrow. We have, of course, Mindy, who I call Megan. I combine her first name, her last name, so her nickname is Megan. So it's Mindy Reagan of MyNHD. We had Jennifer Kirkendale, who was with us today of Corner Escrow. And we also have, we'd also like to thank our Ruby strategic partners, Marina Clark, who was with us today from Statewide Escrow. And we have Rachel Brannon from C2 Financial Corporation. We had, we didn't have Annie, but we have Ray, I think I'm pronouncing it right, from the MLS.com. And we had, we didn't have Ariel Guzman, but we did have Erwin. We had Erwin from Termicon Termites. So again, thank you all of our strategic partners, because we could not do this without you.
Yay.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
So great rest of your day and take care. And I guess over now, we're under the wire on time. So
Stay
4
tuned
minutes.
for our
You
next
did good.
event coming up.
Hey, be
Okay.
safe, everyone.
Good to see
Thank
everybody.
you. Nice seeing everybody.
Yeah.